A trip to Flop City or a solid new release? 1 million gold.
Here's some codes to save you some cash on your next Middle Eastern niche or designer fragrances.
What's going on, guys? My name is Neeb. Welcome back to AROMATIX. Today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new release, 1 million gold. I actually just got this in a few days ago from Spain, and the day it came in, it was available now in the States, basically. So the first thing that I was looking at is the one in between the gold ring. So initially I was like, shit, did I just get a fakie? But looking at the bottle, as you guys can see, it actually looks a lot like the originals. Except it has the one that we didn't see in some of the rumors or the pictures that we got, as well as having the PR Paco Rabanne, actually, I should say. Shout out to Puerto Rico on the atomizer instead of 1 million. So the official notes for this fragrance don't really give us too much about this one. It just says mandarin orange, some cedar wood, sandalwood, and spices. Obviously, there's going to be much more to that. But on a first spray, what you're going to get with this fragrance is this sweet mandarin signature 1 million style DNA with a hefty dose of cedar wood. This opens up with that very attention-grabbing 1 million style DNA, which is like that grapefruit, the mandarin, maybe something aromatic like mint, although not listed in the note breakdown. It does remind me in the opening kind of the original DNA for sure, at least just in the opening. It's a true flanker in that sense, as with many of their other fragrances, but not close enough to be, redundant in that sense at all. So yes, having certain aspects from the original DNA, making it a true flanker, but also emphasizing a lot more on something specifically like the woods. This is basically their fresh take on woods. So 1 million in itself has that bubblegummy natured fragrance. So anything they do, whether they do it ambery or sweet or sexy, I should say, they add that bubblegummy nature that you're gonna get with even going back to the original DNA. And that's kind of what happens here, except the focus here is gonna be that cedar wood and sandalwood. The woods in the fragrance itself seems a little bit more intense than just cedar wood, but in the opening, what you're basically gonna get is more of a focus on that mandarin orange, the sweetness, and some of that cedar wood. As this one starts to dry down though, so now we're talking about hour 1 to 2, you start to get something that's a little bit more aromatic and spiced as well, leading me to believe that there might be a little bit of something like clary sage and starting to kind of remind me a little bit of 1 million royal. This isn't something that smells like 1 million royal or just 1 million in itself. It's clearly doing its own thing, but obviously being a flanker basically, right? Fresh citrusy, bubblegummy, and woody is basically what this is. Guys, what we're getting with this fragrance is 1 million's take on a fresh woods fragrance. So we have that 1 million golden oud, which is more so of like an animalic, ambery style oud. We have other fresh florals. We have the fresh sweet bubblegummy like 1 million lucky. And even this one, although being just sweet, it's still relatively fresher than some of the other ones. This one, however, is fresh woody with that sweet 1 million DNA. Clearly the focus of the fragrance is going to be that woods, and I personally think there might be something a little bit more intense than just cedar wood. I mean, it's definitely dosed up in cedar wood, but it also recreates an accord for me of papyrus, and more so because of the later dry down. As it starts to dry down, I get that signature leather style dry down from the original even in itself. And papyrus gives you an intense woody note, but with a leather dry down. Whether or not it's actually in the fragrance, I mean, obviously there's more notes than just the 4 that they listed there, but it's just speculations, but I personally get that accord. So long story short, you guys, this is going to be 1 million that's fresher. It still has the bubble gum, just a lot more woods. Kind of staying truer to the original DNA than some of the other flankers. Like 1 million elixir from the opening was like, what? This is amazing, much better. This one kind of having more reminiscences to the OG, while also still having significant amounts of differences as well. This is kind of the more grown-up version, basically, of the original, coming from the high dose use of sandalwood and cedarwood. And for that reason, I think this is not only going to cater to some of the younger crowd that enjoy that bubblegummy sweet, but even enter into an older age group for that reason. There's a certain level of sophistication with that note of cedarwood with some of the woods that's used in here, giving this one a couple notches up in terms of its class. It's definitely got a little bit more class than some of the other ones. Performance for the fragrance gave me a solid 8 hours, which is above average, and it's not going to be the most beastly fragrance in the world, but it's there and it's present. It was projecting for a solid 2 to 2.5 hours, and mostly what I was getting is that sweet mandarin and the hefty dose of the woods, specifically cedarwood. In terms of the occasions, this is something that smells a little bit more sophisticated than just a daily scent, but you could potentially rock this to like the office, etc. Not necessarily the best gym scent, but it is something you can slightly wear up. It's not like the most groundbreaking or sexy and seductive fragrance for like date nights, but on a daily occasion to the office, etc., you absolutely could. Even to school, you could easily rock this one. Priced with many other flankers, believe it or not, I found some discounters that had this, and you can check the links down in the description if you want to find this. It might be cheaper, who knows? But generally speaking, they do have their price structures at pretty fair prices, I would say. Sometimes at Macy's, you can find the big boys for like 120 bucks at 6.8 ounce, and we're talking jumbo sizes like this. Final thoughts on 1 million gold. I don't think that this is going to be anything that you haven't smelled before. In fact, I do find some similarities to something like Santal 33. Obviously, this one having that 1 million sweetness and the freshness to it more so than that aforementioned fragrance. And as it started to dry down within the first hour or so, I personally started getting the accord of something like clary sage. It was a bit aromatic and also a hint of benzoin potentially. Obviously, they didn't really list too many of the notes, but these are the accords that I found similar with some of these fragrances, and it was only a couple of aspects. Ultimately, the fragrance dried down and the overall experience was something completely different than both of these in totality. Not a bad release. I don't think it's going to be the most groundbreaking 1 million or the best 1 million, but definitely a solid option, especially for those who enjoy more sophisticated, fresh, woody style fragrances. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, my thoughts on the new 1 million gold. Make sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button. Till the next video, peace.